just gonna wait and see if anybody pops on while I'm live before I get started. Hello! Hi, Ellen. I wasn't sure if this would be a good time for people. When my kids were at school before lockdown, I was doing this kind of thing on a Thursday after I dropped them off at school. So, but I will be putting it up on my grid and on my IGTV. Hello! It's really not a nice day weather-wise here in Edinburgh. It's been raining and it's very overcast, but maybe it'll lift. Tomorrow looks like the weather's going to be nice. I was joking with my knit night friends last night that tomorrow is basically going to be summer here in Scotland, like one day of very sunny weather. So I've got a cup of coffee, and if you haven't seen one of these videos before, before lockdown I was hosting a Wednesday night in-person knit night where I would bake something, and so there'd always be leftovers, and on a Thursday morning I would eat some of the leftover cake or whatever for my breakfast. So that's where the kind of knits and cake for breakfast name comes from. So I got up early this morning because one of my cats was outside fighting with another cat and woke me up. So I thought, I'm just gonna get up, and I've made some scones. And I've put some butter and jam on them. And they turned out quite well. The last time I made scones, they didn't rise very much, but these ones have come out good. So that was a Nigella Lawson recipe, which works better than the usual one that I have, which is on my battered B-row book. Don't know if anybody else has got one of these kicking about, but mine's absolutely manky and it's got pages falling out, but I love it. The recipes are really good, but I have to say the scone recipe in here is not the greatest scone recipe. The one in the Nigella, it's the How to Be a Domestic Goddess one, which is also quite battered and manky, well used. That one I think is a better scone recipe than that one. Oh, Kirsty, you've got it. Oh, that's really nice. So it's been passed down. Yeah, this one I think is from the 90s, but I think I probably got it when I was a student. But yeah, it's really nice to pass down recipe books and things like that. So I thought I would show you what I've been working on. If you got my newsletter this week, you will have had a little sneaky peek at something that I've been working on for a knitting magazine. And yesterday I posted on my stories I'd had to unravel a whole load because I'd made a mistake, and it's in lace weight yarn. So unraveling lace weight is not always the nicest thing to do. So I can't show you the actual thing that I'm knitting on because, as is often the way with knitting magazines, it's got to be kept under wraps. But I can show you my swatch that I did. So this is it's not similar to the yarn that I'm using it. The actual sample is in at all, but it's got these kind of lace yarn over motifs, and then these bits which are done with welts. So I don't know if you've ever done welts before, but you pick up a stitch from a few rows below and knit it together. So it has different colours and it's sort of striped basically. It's nice and light and it's got lots of movement in it. So that was one of my initial swatches. If you've followed me for a while, you'll know that I tend to go a bit overboard on the swatching until I get it just perfect. So the colours for the actual shawl are a bit darker than that swatch. Oh yeah, Anna, yeah. Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, but it's like the patterns of the where the waves leave in the sand. Yeah. Oh yeah, welts in the penguono. Yes, Ellen, I've done that too, and I really love doing the welts. They're very satisfying because they kind of stick out, don't they? I've got it round the wrong way. They create a really nice texture because they stick up. I mean, it depends how big you make them. Can you see that swatch there? That's welts. So it makes a really kind of touchy-feely sort of a fabric. But the palette for the actual sample for the magazine is much darker and more kind of autumnal. So that's the main colour. This lovely grey. Which I'm surprised, I think I must be about halfway through now. It's working up quite quickly. Because when I first started knitting with it, I found it quite tricky to knit with the lace weight. It's very, very fine. And I was thinking about, I need some really quite sharp needles for it, for the lace weight. And especially because it has these yarn overs. So I ended up, I have a favourite pair of needles. I don't know if you have a favourite pair. Oh, everything's going everywhere down here. So these are my favourite needles, which are higher sharps. But I only had this one pair, which is a 4.5mm, and they were too big for this lace weight project. So I decided that I would buy a set because I wasn't sure what size of needles I wanted to use for the lace weight shawl. So I bought one of these higher sets of the sharps. So it comes with, I think it has about 6. I've got a couple of pairs out of here, so that's not the whole thing. But they're quite sharp. What size is this? This is the 5. I think that might be the biggest size. They're quite sharp tips, so they're really good for doing lace. Because you can really pick up, you know, like if you're doing knit two togethers and things, it makes it a bit easier. Yeah, and I think they're hollow as well, so they're quite light. And you get a variety of cables and then the little things to attach, the little screw things to attach it to the cables. And the case is really nice, and it came with a little needle gauge, and yeah, the little things for fixing, you know, for tightening, and then those tiny little extension cords, you know, the joiners to join two cords together. So that's working really well. But I do find sometimes sharp needles can split the yarn a bit. I don't know if you've found that. Sometimes it's about like getting the right needles for the job. So sometimes you want a blunter kind of knitting needle depending on what you're doing, and sometimes you want something sharper if you're doing lace, I think, for example. So I'm really enjoying using those higher. And also I'll show you this, because this is the pair that I started with that I've had for years, but I really love them. What's on here is a prototype for a sweater. So that's like the neck. So I'm doing that on the 4.5, which is working well because this has got these sort of slip stitches and cables. So it's quite nice to have a bit of a sharper needle for that. Thanks, Helen. Yeah, I'm really liking how it's coming out as well, especially with this yarn, which is by the Wool Kitchen. Yeah, so well, it's a prototype, so I need to finish knitting that and then do the sample, so that's going to take me a wee while. But I wanted to show you some of the shawls that I'm going to have as kits. I'm taking part in the virtual Yorkshire Yarn Fest at the end of the month. So I did one at the end of May, and I'm doing the one at the end of August, so the 29th of August. And I'm going to have some different kits from the ones I had last time. So this time I'm going to have a kit for my No.9 shawl, which is, this one's knitted in Isaga yarns, but I'm going to have kits in different yarns, and I need to knit up a new sample, so I've got quite a lot to knit in the next month. So I'm going to do that one. So that one's No.9 with travelling stitches and these little motifs and the big eyelets. So there'll be kits for that one. And then I'm also going to do a new sample. This is what I mean when I've got a lot of knitting to do this month, because I've got 2 short samples to knit. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to get them done. And this is, you're not going to be able to see all this. This is my Lowy shawl, which was in Amarisu magazine. I think it might be 2 years ago. Yeah, 2018, in the summer issue. So it's in 3 parts, and it's got this sort of like garter stitch rib and the eyelets. I don't know if you can see that. It's very, very delicate. And then the one section has got this lace at the bottom. So this is the original sample from Amarisu magazine, and it was knitted in Anzula yarns lace weight, which I think it's silk and linen. Can't quite remember, but this is what I had left. So I could probably knit in a whole other one out of this. And the yarn is gorgeous, but it's not very easily available in the UK. I think they're based in California. So I'm going to do like a sort of winter version in a 100% wool yarn, and yeah, and have kits for that. But I'll probably do, yeah, the colours are gorgeous and they're so lovely and summery. Like, I really wish you could feel this because it's so light. But I'm hoping a 4-ply woolen version will be nice and light, but also you know, a bit warmer for the winter. And I think I'm going to do it in similar colours, but I'll have some other colour options available. So yeah, I've got a lot of knitting to do. And I will also have my Winter Lights shawl kits too. So that's we're done with mini skeins from Rusty Ferret, which she only dyes for me. I'm very honoured. And you'll get the background colour as well. So actually, Winter Lights and the No.9 shawl are both from my Shawl Saturday ebook. So yeah, so that's at the end of August, Saturday the 29th. I'm not sure what my time slot is yet, but I will, I'll let you know as soon as I can. Now, let me just check my list to see if that was all that I wanted to tell you about and talk to you about. I think it was. So, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I'm hoping the weather clears up a bit and I can get out in the garden. But is it a golden orange colourway for them? Yes. And actually somebody's knitted one, Ellen, and it's like oranges and pinks. It's really beautiful. Like, they've used a variegated yarn, I think, throughout for the contrast colour, for the Winter Lights shawl. Yeah, I know there's lots of different options, and it's a good one also for using up little scraps, because you could do it with 6 lots of 10 grams of 4-ply across the shawl. There's loads of pictures of this on my grid if you want to see some more. Okay, I'm going to go before one of my kids bursts in with a big Lego surprise or something. Oh, hello, Helen. We're just finishing off, but I'll post the replay and then you can watch it. Okay, all right, have a good Thursday. Bye.